Aquarius Sun and Rising. Welcome to your June 2023 Astro Update. It's Raina here. So June is not a quiet month. There is a lot going on, but at least we have passed the period of eclipses. In April and May, we had eclipse season, and that tends to shake things up. So now we have business as usual, but still, when I compile these lists, some months have maybe like half as many major transits on them. So this is still pretty busy. So on the 3rd of June, we have a full moon at 13 degrees of Sag. Now, for most of June, we're in Gemini season. The sun is in the opposite sign of Sag. And that's why, that's what happens during a full moon. The sun is opposing the moon. And so for you, this opposition is occurring in your 11th and 5th houses. So Sag is in your 11th house. The full moon there. I'll give you an example. If you have started dating someone and maybe your friends are like kind of giving you a hard time, like how come you never are around us anymore? I was thinking like of there's a term whipped, that sometimes like guys say to their buddies, "Oh, you're whipped. You're with this woman all the time," and all that kind of thing. And that's kind of a silly example, but I mean, it could be something along those lines where something comes to a head with your friends as it pertains to a person that you're dating, because, and maybe it's in a different way. Maybe they don't like that person that you're dating. In those types of situations, it's good to pay attention to what is going on, to the conflict, because Aquarius can be a very rebellious, contrarian sign. So if somebody tells you to do something, you want to do the exact opposite. I'm one of those people who think that we should pay attention to what other people are saying, not because we want to conform to it, but simply to see how they are perceiving things, and then also take into account our feelings. So not just shut anything out, because sometimes with Aquarius, you may be attracted to things that, because of your own detached nature, you're very tolerant of, and other people aren't. But that's not to say that in some cases, if somebody sees you're growing, they're going to be threatened by that, perhaps, in certain cases, if they're kind of stagnant. So sometimes you might find some person that you're falling in love with, and they're very spiritual or they're very artistic, and it takes them out of the norm. Like maybe you're not going to sporting events or doing things that you normally would do with the people that you hang around, and they get threatened by that, and they're like, who is this? Who does this person think that they are? Oh, they think they're so above it all. And because that's how people sometimes perceive things. They think it's a rejection of themselves, because this full moon is falling in your social circle. That's kind of where all of that yammering was leading to. So there could be some kind of in the extreme case, there could be a falling out between you and your friends, or one in particular, or you could see the light with them. You could see how they operate, and then that could cause you to kind of pull back a little bit, because the opposition, we're seeing both sides. There's like an extreme between those two houses, and it's like, which one is going to win out? Also, the 11th, to have the full moon in the 11th house, you could realize one of your dreams. This is your house in astrology, Aquarius, the 11th house. So you have an affinity with the 11th house. Oh, and this could be good for money too, because the 11th house is the house of gains, and a full moon could bring something to manifestation. On the 5th of the month, Venus goes into your opposite sign of Leo. This is very significant because this is something that is going to be affecting you until October. Venus typically has a very short transit, but because Venus is going retrograde in July, it's starting to really slow down now, ahead of time. Typically, Venus would leave the sign of Leo by the end of the month. So that just shows how short a transit it normally has. And here I told you it's going to be until early October. So in your particular chart, this is the 7th house of committed partnership. So I believe that even if you're single at the moment, there could be somebody that comes into your reality in the next few months that is a new person, and Venus in the 7th is, I think that could be somebody new that's coming along. The 5th house is the house of dating, so that's where we typically see people falling in love and getting to know one another. The 7th house is the stage that comes after that with committing. But I feel that if you are dating someone right now, maybe you will soften your stance because a lot of Aquarians, they do want freedom above all else, and that can feel threatening to have someone, even if you really care for them. The idea of losing your autonomy to some degree might be really makes it difficult, but you might be swept away. But even if you haven't met someone yet, the same thing applies when Jupiter is in the 7th house and somebody's single. It could be that you meet someone that is marriage material. Marriage meaning permanent relationship. That's what I really mean. So that's happening, and that also bodes well for lawsuits or, like some kind of a legal matter, mediation of any kind, that you are blessed and highly favored. No, yeah, but I mean that you have this positive energy in this sector. And Venus also can be about money. Venus is the ruler of the 7th, but it also rules the 2nd under Taurus. And so it has a connotation with money directly. So anything that you are negotiating that has to do with money could go your way, or possessions of some sort. This also bodes well for you and your partner romantically. I mean, like if you are partnered, coupled, because Mars has been here. Mars is apparently still here, I think. I'm assuming Mars is still here because Mars went in earlier. And so Mars can kind of make things a little bit, I was going to say spice things up, but in some cases there can be conflict that arises. So Venus can balance that out and smooth things over. On the 11th, Pluto goes back into Capricorn. So, yeah, Aquarians have been dealing with karmic transformation. That's been kind of a theme for 15 years. Now, I'm just saying that as a general reading, from a general reading perspective, because your 12th house may vary. I personally, I don't have Capricorn rising or anything. I mean, I don't have Capricorn in the 12th, but I do, in my chart, I have like a very big 12th house, because we're talking about the unequal house system here. So those transits would go way longer from somebody like me. But for, just say, pretending that everybody has like 30 degrees starting at 0 degrees in the 12th, this has been a time of really shadow work to the nth degree, maybe from past lives or something, but really excavating karmic baggage and transforming it, alchemizing it, however you say it. And that is something that could involve other people to some degree, because there may be people in your life that you were involved with, including maybe like a past love relationship where that person, you may have felt drawn to them, but you knew that it wasn't a good thing. And this is, when I do private readings for love, sometimes people are very drawn to another person and they feel like they have this karmic connection. And sometimes I say to a person, or I ask them if they ever considered that maybe that karmic connection is simply that they keep engaging with that person and they create more of that karmic bond. Just like in this lifetime, no different, where, you keep investing energy into that relationship, even if it's negative energy. And so you shouldn't be surprised if it persists. But is it something that benefits you and the other person is the real question. And in some cases, the answer is no, it isn't something good. And that's why it should be really looked at. So, and it could be other things that the 12th house can be your habits, like things that you're doing that are self-destructive, that don't serve you. And, it's a house of addiction and things like that. Well, one of the things about addiction, for instance, is that a person focuses on, okay, let's say they're an alcoholic, I'm going to stop drinking. And yet it goes much deeper than that, because the desire to do something destructive, even, when somebody stops their substance of choice, their drug of choice, if you will, they still have these demons or these negative patterns that may still be present. They're just not being anesthetized, or however you say it. So this is really about getting to that root cause, because when a planet is retrograding, and especially a planet like Pluto, it is asking you to go deeper within yourself. And the 12th house is a water house, so it's already very personal in terms of your emotional reactions to life and things like that. But this is even more the case. On the same day, we have Gemini, Mercury going into Gemini, and that is that 5th house. Oh, by the way, the 5th house is also the house of love and creativity. So the sun is in this house now. Gemini, Mercury is joining it there. So you could be speaking to someone who you have some kind of romantic interest in. This is also a great time for any kind of creative projects that involve writing. On the 17th, Saturn turns retrograde at 7 degrees of Pisces. So that is your second house, Aquarius. And so you have two longer term planets transiting this house. You have both Saturn and Neptune. Neptune has been here for 11 years, I think, and Neptune rules Pisces, so it's in its own domain. And it can give a kind of confusing feeling about your finances. Um, Something isn't being revealed to you, or Aquarius is a sign that I don't see as very like free spending. Maybe because one of your rulers is Saturn, and so you might share that with Capricorn, and you might have inner planets in Capricorn if your sun is there that make you much more frugal and less likely to just blow money. And yet, for some reason, you don't feel like, in some cases, you even have a handle on your finances, or maybe because Pluto has been in the 12th house, if you had past lives where you were stingy or something like that, maybe you have loosened your grip on money and actually become more altruistic with Neptune there, or just less interested in the world in general. And so money becomes a means to an end, or just something that doesn't have its hold on you, even if it once did. Although I don't think that a lot of Aquarians are truly materialistic. But of course, I'm just talking about the sign itself, not other influences. So, in a way, it's good that Saturn has entered this sector. Saturn entered Pisces back in March. Now that it's, because it can give you more overt desire for structure, and maybe even accountability for your particular spending habits. When I think of Saturn, I definitely think of a budget or streamlining expenses and things like that, and creating income streams. These structures for the long haul, for the future. But there might be something that you've already done in that regard that you are not sure about, and that could be what is occurring at that time. I can't tell you exactly what it would be, but maybe it involves your career, because Saturn rules the 10th house of career. On the 18th, there's a new moon at 26 degrees of Gemini. So, again, this is the fifth house for you. Very interestingly, back in, when was it? In 2022, August of 2022, Mars entered Gemini, okay? And then I think it was October 30th that it went retrograde in that fifth house for you, Aquarius. And it stayed retrograde for a few months. Now, until January. Now, because it was a fifth house, it might have involved somebody from the past that you'd been dating. Maybe you got back with that person. Usually Mars retrograde, I haven't heard anything said about past loves, relationships. It's mostly, Mercury retrograde and Venus retrograde, where you hear from people from your past, but Venus retrograde. But I could say that since it was in the fifth house, and especially if it was more of an affair, like it was more of a physical thing than an actual love, because the fifth house can be recreational sex. Okay. Now, that was at 25 degrees of Gemini. This new moon is at 26 degrees. So that's right at around the same degree. So I wonder if there's some connection with that Mars retrograde at all. And so that might be some kind of new love. On the 21st, we have summer solstice, winter down under, obviously. And 9:57 a.m. Central Standard Time. So if you live in the United States, it's going to be in the morning, and otherwise in the afternoon or evening. For you, sun goes into a cardinal sign, Cancer, so it's a power period. And this is a practical area for you, the 6th house of work and health. And so on the 26th, Mercury goes into this sector. Mercury rules the 6th house. In astrology, it rules the 3rd too, but the 6th house as well. And this can be about diet, reading about, for people who are looking to shift the way that they eat. You may be reading up on that, consulting with someone. This could be talking to a potential employer. But this isn't, as the month of June comes to a close, you have these planets running through here that are, personal planets that are very practical in this practical area. You've had Venus and Mars here already. So you've already had a warm up on whatever is going on. On the 30th, Neptune goes retrograde in that 2nd house. So there could be some kind of reality check about your finances. Maybe you're being very hopeful about something, and it turned out that it wasn't what you thought. Now, I don't think that investments are included. The 2nd house is the money that you earn, but I would include any money that comes into your household. So I mean, you could even, say another house is especially connected to investments and dividends and all that kind of thing. The 5th house is the house of speculation. So, of course, that house is being activated with the new moon, for sure. So there could be new developments there. And even the 8th house, I would say, that's other people's money or shared resource or money that's coming from sources where you're not directly earning it. But I really think the 2nd house is the main place for all of the money that you bring into your life. So if I would say, even with an investment, maybe you're thinking it was going to yield a certain thing and it hasn't done what it's supposed to, and something along those lines. So something can be disillusioning, but we don't want to live in illusions, because then we could continue to take actions that are not really in alignment with what's truly happening. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. It could be actually good in a certain way. So anyway, that's what I have for you, Aquarius. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.